Hello students, we are discussing about the general portion of the environmental science. Excuse me. And today we are going to discuss about the environmental management system. The module is 1 and the lecture number is 6. So this is this is our subject name, that is environmental science. The subject name is environmental science. Subject code is MC301 or 401 and contact hour is 24. Yeah. So this is the some of the course outcomes of our course, that is after finishing of this course you can able to understand the natural environment and its relationship with the human activities. You can apply the fundamental knowledge of science and engineering to assess the environmental and health risks. To develop, you can develop the some of the guidelines and procedures which is related to the health and safety issues, and you can also safety issues, and you can also acquire some of the skills for scientific problem solving related to the air, water or noise pollution. Okay, so these are the some of the course outcome that we have. This is our lecture plan for the general portion. This is the last lecture of the general portion of the environmental science. Now these are the some of the objectives of today's class. First of all, we will discuss about the environmental management system. Okay, what do you mean by environmental management system? What are the components that we will also discuss? What are the objectives of this environmental management system we will discuss, and Montreal protocol and Kyoto protocol also we will discuss. So from this portion generally you can have this type of question: what do you mean by environmental management system? What is EIA, environmental impact assessment? Okay, what are the components that we have for the environmental management system? What are the objectives? Why we are discussing this environmental management system? What is the importance of this EMS system? EMS, that is that we will discuss. Okay, like next discuss about the Montreal protocol, discuss about the Kyoto protocol. So these are the all the things that we will discuss today. Now this is the some of the recapitulation of our previous class. Generally what will happen, we have discussed, this is a continuation of the class. This is just at a glance whatever we have discussed so far. The topics that is structure and function of the following ecosystem we have seen, like forest ecosystem we have discussed, grassland ecosystem, the desert ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. So these are all the things that we have discussed in our previous classes. Okay, now this is the classification of ecosystem, very important. Okay, generally ecosystems are of two types: one is natural ecosystem, one is man-made ecosystem. Now in between natural ecosystem we have two type of natural ecosystem. One is terrestrial ecosystem, all type of land resources, whatever ecosystem that is related to the land resources, that is the terrestrial ecosystem. And aquatic ecosystem means in water, like the freshwater ecosystem, pond ecosystem, marine ecosystem. So these are the some of the examples of the aquatic ecosystem. Now terrestrial ecosystem, again of three types: one is forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem and desert ecosystem. And aquatic ecosystem generally are of two types: one is freshwater ecosystem, one is marine ecosystem. Okay, freshwater ecosystem again of two type: one is running water ecosystem, one is standing water ecosystem. That is for the stagnant water, whatever ecosystem we have, that is called by the standing water ecosystem. Okay, now the forest ecosystem. So forest ecosystem generally, if from this portion if you have this type of question, that what do you mean by forest ecosystem, but discuss about the forest ecosystem. That means you have to write down all the components, whatever abiotic components we have, whatever biotic components we have. And again, the biotic components are of three types. One is producer. What are the producer for the forest ecosystem? What are the consumers of the forest ecosystem, and also what are the decomposers for the forest ecosystem. Again, consumers are of three types. One is primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. Okay. These are the some of the biotic factors. About all this you have to discuss. And also abiotic, for the abiotic substance we have the three types of abiotic factors, that is one physical, organic, and inorganic. Physical means sunlight, tide, wind, okay, and organic means whatever organic compounds like carbohydrate, fat, vitamin, protein. These are the organic substances that we have. And inorganic substances like the inorganic compounds like metal compounds. Okay, so that compounds are including the belongs to this category, that is the abiotic substances. So whenever you have this type of question, ki discuss about the forest ecosystem or marine ecosystem or pond ecosystem. Okay, this is the grassland ecosystem. So for all these cases you have to just discuss about the all components of the ecosystem. Okay, biotic, what are the abiotic components, what are the biotic components, what are the producers, consumers, all this you have to discuss. So grassland, this is the grassland ecosystem, this is the desert ecosystem, pond ecosystem, and also at last we have discussed about the mangrove ecosystem. Okay, so these are the some of the ecosystems that we you have in your syllabus. Okay, now today we will discuss about the environmental management system. Yeah. So today we will discuss about the environmental management system, right? Now okay, so what do you mean by, from this portion you can have this type of question, what you mean by environmental management system. Okay, why it is so important, what are the objectives of environmental management system, what are the components that we have in environmental management system. So the irrepressible human curiosity and the thirst of the knowledge are the fundamental basis of scientific development. A major part of the innovation in scientific and technology development has been directed towards the generation or elevation of human comfort, and thereby increasing the standard of living in the society. This led to the increase in industrialization. Some of the important improvements to our standard of living that can be attributed to the application of science and technology include. Okay, so what will happen, day by day we are developing, we are using so many technologies. Okay, the development in the industrialization, the development in the urbanization, all these are developing, we are developing our standard of the living. So the production of the production of more and better quality of food, the elimination of many infectious diseases, okay, invention of new faster communication systems, creation of more reliable and faster transportation system, the supply of safe water, the invention of machines to replace human and animal power, and the minimizing waterborne disease through the improved water technology. So these are the some of the our objects. develop our technology to produce more and better quality of the food. Okay, that we can eliminate so many infectious diseases, and also there are so many inventions taking place which is attributed to the faster communication system, and also we are creating more reliable and faster transportation also. Also we are developing our technologies to get the safe water, safe drinking water. Okay, and also which also we are developing, we are making some of the machines which can replace the human as well as the animal power, and also we are minimizing some of the waterborne disease through the improved water technology. Okay, so these are the for these objectives we are developing day by day. We are increasing our technology, we are using new technologies to increase the living system, to increase the standard of the living. Okay, now consequent to this improvement, what will happen, we are disturbing the environment. Okay, we are creating some of the environment pollution. For the urbanization, we are cutting so many trees, so deforestation here the will take place for the for growth of the industries, for growth of the urban areas. Okay, so some of the for our development whatever we are doing, also the environment is getting polluted day by day, like water is getting polluted, air is getting polluted, sound pollution will be there. So all pollutions are increasing, also the land is degraded for our activities. Okay, so that is why we should manage our environment for our sustainability. If we don't take care of our environment, then we cannot sustain, we cannot exist. Okay, the blame for deterioration of the environment quality cannot be laid only the yeah, cannot be laid only on industrial activities waste. From residential and commercial sources also caused environmental stress. Further, both affluence and poverty also cause the pollution in their own ways. Okay, there are so many ways by which the environment is getting degraded. The all the components of the environment are getting polluted. Okay, so for this we have to be aware of our environment, and we have to manage our environment. Okay, now environmental management is not the management of the environment as such, but the management of interaction by the modern society and the impact upon the environment. Yeah, so management of environment, we have to manage our environment. What does it mean? It means that we are developing day by day, and also that will impact, that will have some impact on our environment. So these two things we have to manage, understand, so that the balance will be there for our development and also the deterioration of the environment. Okay, now so the objectives, what are the objectives of environmental management? That is regulating the exploitation of the natural resources. Exactly. So first of all, we are using the natural resources, but we are not concerned about it, because natural resources, if we use so many a large amount, a huge amount of natural resources at some time, it will be, we cannot get the natural resources. Okay, so that is why we should follow the renewable energy resources, follow the use of renewable energy resources. protecting the environmental degradation and maintaining environmental quality. Okay, so also for the environment management also we have to protect our environment, and quality of the environment also we have to maintain, for which we have to plant more trees. Okay, next, balancing the ecosystem, we have to balance the ecosystem, preserving the biological diversity, adopting engineered technology without creating adverse effect on the environment. What will happen for our development? We are using so many so we are using so many technologies, but we should remember that our technology cannot affect our quality of the environment, that we have to be assured. Okay, and adopting, that is why adopting the engineered technology without creating any harmful effect, any adverse effect on the environment. And at last, the formulation of suitable environmental laws and regulations and effective implementation of the same. And also all this, if we know, that doesn't that doesn't work, because if there will be some of the rules and regulations, some of the environmental laws, so we have to follow that laws, and thus the the quality of the environment will be maintained, can be maintained. So these are the some of the objectives of the environmental management. So environmental management objective is to establish the limits, to warn the threats and identify the opportunities. Okay, what are the threats we have, and how we can solve that also, that we have to discuss. To prevent the environment issues, solve the environment related problems, we have to solve all type of crises related to the environment, like related to the water pollution, related to the air pollution. Okay, to suggest measure for resource conservation. Okay, some of the, so natural resources we have to conserve. So before that we have to measure, we should have some of the measures for resource conservation, to develop a strategy for the improvement of the for quality of life. So before before any act to improve the environment, quality of the environment, first of all we have to make a strategy, otherwise we cannot be succeed. Okay, and to identify new eco-friendly technologies and eco-friendly substances, which by which we our sustainability, the development of our sustainability will be reached. Okay, so eco-friendly material substances, eco-friendly process we have to, eco-friendly technology we have to use to maintain the quality of the environment. So these are the some of the objectives of the environmental management. Now we will discuss about the components of environmental management, very very important. What are the components? First of all, we have to what environmental impact assessment, right? First component number 1 is environmental impact assessment. Next component number 2, environmental management planning. Third one is environmental auditing. Fourth component is socio-economic assessment. Fourth one is solid waste management, very very important. Okay, so solid waste management, this component is very important to reduce the land pollution. Okay, air quality monitoring. Next components is water quality assessment, soil quality assessment, water and wastewater management. So all these are the components of the environmental management system, and all these, if we maintain all this, then that time only we can maintain, we can improve the quality of our environment. Okay, So this is the major components of the EMS. That is, we have to generate some of the policy, we have to plan, we have some of the strategy how to develop the quality of the environment, how to use the technology so that it cannot affect our environment deterioration. Okay, implementation and control, the checking of corrective action, the management review, all these are the major components of the EMS. Okay, now what do you mean by environmental impact assessment? Okay. Yeah. So, environmental management impact assessment, that means an environmental impact assessment reveals the possibility or positive and negative impact that a proposed project may have on the environment in all natural, social and economic aspects. Okay. So, thus environmental impact assessment is an activity which is designed to identify and predict the impact of biogeophysical yes, this is biogeophysical environment and on human health and well-being of the legislative proposals, policies, programs, projects and operational procedures, and to interpret and communicate informations about the impact. So, this is all about the environmental impact assessment. EIA, this is as a short we can call it by the EIA. Okay, is widely accepted as a tool in environmental management system. Next we have environmental impact statement, EIS. This is okay. Environmental impact statement is a public document written in a format specified by authorized national, state or local agencies. So, this is called EIS, environmental impact statement. Okay. Next components is environmental regulations and legal framework in India. So, some of the laws we have to, some of the policies we have to apply so that the environment deterioration of the environment can be stopped. Okay. So, these are the some of the act we have, like Wildlife Act we have, Water Pollution Act, Water Preservation Act we have, Forest Preservation Conservation Act we have, Air Control Pollution Prevention and Control Pollution Act we have. There are so many acts we have. Okay. The Wildlife Protection Act. So, as per the provisions of this act, no one is permitted, mind it, no one is permitted to hunt any wild animal except vermin without a license from the Chief Wildlife Warden. The act provides for the establishment of the sanctuaries, national parks, game reserves and the closed area. Okay. So, this is Wildlife Protection Act. Next we have Water Act. Water Act, day by day in recent years we are facing a water scarcity problem. So, and also this scarcity is a very this crisis, water crisis is a critical issue in today's era, because it is also said by someone that at a time when we have to buy the 1 liter of water approximately 500 rupees. Okay. So, this is all these are happening because of the scarcity of the water, and as we are using the water, the over utilization of the water is taking place in all over the country, all over the world. Okay. This act, so Water Act is very important. This act provides for the prevention and control of the water pollution, for making the restoring of wholesomeness of water. The act defines the terms uh, like pollution, sewage effluent, the stream, the broads. The act also assign the functions to be carried out by the central and state boards. Okay, the act prohibits disposal of any poisonous, noxious and polluting matter to the any type of water body. So, we can see some of the many industry, many factories, they are discharging the undesired products, they are discharging the polluted water to the mainstream, to the main water body. So, for that the total water body is getting deteriorated and polluted. So, that is why this act is this act is very powerful for that industries, because this act prohibits disposal of the any poisonous gases, any poisonous material to the water body. Okay. Yeah, next we have Forest Conservation Act. Why we have Forest Conservation Act? Because these are the some of the scenes, some of the pictures where we can see the cutting of the trees for the urbanization, for industry, growth of the industries. Okay, so this deforestation, due to the deforestation we are having so many problems. So, as per this act, no forest land or any protection thereof may be used for any non-forest purposes without the prior permission of the central government. No state government or other authority may issue the order directing that any forest land or any portion thereof may be assigned by way or lease or otherwise to any private person or to any authority. So, this is all about the Forest Conservation Act. Next we have Air Conservation Act. Why we record this act? Because day by day, again from the industry, from automobile engines, from the factory, so the air is, there are so many harmful gases emitting into our environment, which is polluting the air. So, that is why this is the importance of the Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act. So, according this act, what will happen? The act defines the relevant terms such as air pollution, air pollutant, automobile engines, industrial plants, etc. Air pollutant is defined as the presence of any liquid or gaseous substances in the atmosphere in such a concentration as may be or tend to be injurious to the human and all other living system in our society that we have. So, you can see the from this nuclear power plant there are very harmful gases are emitting into the air, and thus these industries are polluting day by day our environment. Okay. Next we have the Environment Protection Act. The Environment Protection Act in 1986, it was introduced to us, was enacted as per the spirit of the Stockholm Conference held in June 1972 to take appropriate steps for the protection and improvement of the quality of the environment. Okay. This act ensures the enforcement of several act regulations concerning pollution control and environment protection safety. So, these are the some of the acts that we have. Okay. Now, next we have ozone depletion substances rules, that is introducing in the 2000. This rule may be called ozone depletion substances rules 2000, the comprehensive roadmap for phasing out hydrochlorofluorocarbon. Generally we know chlorofluorocarbons are very harmful for ozone layer depletion, as I told you. Okay. So, generally these CFCs, the source of the CFC is like fridge, like AC, okay, any spray. So, there we are using the chlorofluorocarbon. Now the nowadays instead of using the chlorofluorocarbon, we are using the hydrochlorofluorocarbons, okay, which is also very harmful, but to some extent it is the less harmful than the CFC in various sectors as per the reduction targets of Montreal Protocol was released by the Ministry of Environment and Forest. And next we have the Biological Diversity Act that is introduced to us in the year of 2002. The Ministry of Environment and Forest has enacted the Biological Diversity Act 2002 under the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, signed at Rio de Janeiro on 5th of June 1992, of which India is also a part. As per the provision of the Act, area rich in biodiversity and encompassing the unique and representative ecosystems are identified and designated as biosphere reserves to facilitate their conservation. So, this is all about the Biodiversity Act. Now, we have Montreal Protocol and Kyoto Protocol, very important. Okay, the Montreal Protocol finalized in 1987 and is a global agreement to protect the stratospheric ozone layer. Why we need this protection of the stratospheric ozone layer? In the stratosphere we are having the ozone layer, and what is the importance of this ozone layer? This ozone layer prevents the UV radiation whatever we are getting from the sun ray, and thus that UV radiation cannot enter into the earth's surface. This UV radiations is very harmful for any type of living system. Okay, if we expose to the UV radiation, our skin cancer also can happen. So, this is the harmful effect. So, these stratospheric ozone layers are depleted by the action of by the activity of our, okay, like by spreading by the CFC, the chlorofluorocarbon, okay, is the main component which is the main responsible for the ozone depletion. So, that is why Montreal Protocol is being introduced to us, and consumption of ozone depletion substances. The stratospheric ozone layer filters out harmful UV radiation, as I told you, which is associated with an increased prevalence of skin cancer and cataract. Okay, so that is why we have to introduce this Montreal Protocol. Next we have Kyoto Protocol. Kyoto Protocol is a protocol to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, okay, aimed at fighting the global warming, This is an international environmental treaty with a goal to achieve the stabilization of greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere at a level that would prevent the dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. So, this is all about the Kyoto Protocol, okay, greenhouse gases, okay. So, day by day the greenhouse gases are increasing, which is very harmful also, and which is causing the global warming, and so many effects also we have for the greenhouse effect, okay. So, this is all about the Kyoto Protocol. So, this is all about the today's session, today's topic. Okay, so here I have this is a quick review. I have given one question so that I can understand how much you have understood from the today's session. So, the what is Montreal Protocol? This is your question, and your time starts now. You have 10 seconds time. Just remember, just memorize whatever I have discussed today, and that time you can understand, you can get the answer. Yeah, your 10-second time is over, and the answer is absolutely right. The Montreal Protocol finalized in 1987 is a global agreement to protect the stratospheric ozone layer by phasing out the production and consumption of the ozone layer depletion substances, that is generally the chlorofluorocarbon and hydrochlorofluorocarbons. Okay, so this is called Montreal Protocol. So students, this is all about the recapitulation. Yeah, first of all, we have discussed about the definition of environment management system. We have seen the components, we have seen also what are the objectives, why we need this EMS. Okay, next we have seen some of the acts to prevent our environment. Then we have discussed about the Montreal Protocol and also Kyoto Protocol we have discussed. So these are the all about the today's topic. Okay, so students, you have to follow all the lectures of the general portion, because this is the last chapter of the general, and I have given one assignment also. You have to complete the assignment and submit it in time. So please follow the classes regularly. So thank you students, and see you in the next class.